Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Pro Wrestling Throwdown for the week of November 21st, 2020. I am Caleb Black. He is Luke the Big Dog Williams. That is the Mighty Max Fury, our in-studio producer.
And why is it you get you, and then I get he, and then you say that?
Because he has a title.
Remember this.
It's a title.
Remember this.
He is the in-studio producer.
Hey, welcome to the deep dive video on Roddy Piper.
The second host.
Hey, I'm first in everybody's house. Anyway.
Who's the opening act now? Biatch! All right, we are talking about Roddy Piper in this Superstar Deep Dive this week. We talked about him a little bit here and there in several different shows. We talked about him in the top 5 heels as the number 2 heel. Let's get into it, man.
Roddy Piper debuted in the WWE before he was Roddy or WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Before he was Roddy Piper, had 5 matches for Vince Sr. in what year?
79?
79?
79. I think
in 79.
He was like the Fighting Irishman or something like that.
Well, he was a Scotsman.
Yeah.
But WWE or F lineage, I like to tend to say 84 because that's when he had the Piper's Pit, all that. Iconic. One of the best stickmen ever in professional wrestling. If you got on the stick against Roddy Piper and you didn't come correct, he made you look like trash.
Yeah. Just when you thought you had all the answers, he changed the question.
Exactly. And then he hit you with a coconut. Which is probably one of the most remembered segments.
Yeah.
Early Roddy Piper
was the first segment on television that got them flack from the network.
Yes.
The first one that was legitimate because he really gave Snuka a concussion.
I remember the story he was telling where he's like, I just cocked it back and hit him with it. And then you see me, I kept hitting him with my belt because he kept trying to get up.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to get up. So I kept hitting him with the belt to try to keep him down so I could get away. And he dented the studio's door trying to get to Piper.
Yep.
And he's like, I was on the other side of that door like this. Because I knew if he come in there, I was in trouble. Roddy Piper doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
No, he doesn't.
Because if you ask me, Roddy Piper was the first legitimate crossover between wrestling and Hollywood.
Yeah, he was. Was the first
I got to cut in here because I just read something that is absolutely great. Freddie Blassie once stuffed Piper's bagpipes full of toilet paper so that they wouldn't play when he went out in front of the crowd at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Blassie was classic red. Not as good as Fuji, but that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Blassie,
what
Freddie
they live.
Blassie.
I mean, Roddy Piper, where Hogan bridged the gap, Hogan never really was a box office success.
No.
Roddy Piper, on the other hand, with They Live and the several movies that come after that.
I didn't know that he was actually a boxer.
Yes,
Golden Glove.
Golden Glove boxer.
Yeah, he was a Golden Glove boxer. Legit tough man.
Talk about the transition into Hollywood for just a second. One thing that was kind of a game changer for him, when he did the movies, he became a member of SAG, which automatically meant that he had health insurance for life.
Yes.
As long as he kept a SAG card, which you always do as soon as you get it. So he was one of the only wrestlers who didn't have to pay out of pocket for like a massive insurance bill. So you take into consideration, at the time, they're getting paid on gates. Piper's underside is huge. He was making more money in wrestling between, 93 and probably 99, then with the exception of the Stone Colds, the Rocks, the Hogans, he was right there, and it was simply because he was saving money on insurance.
Yeah.
He also was the first guy who had that big cross-promotional thing with Hollywood. In fact, was signed on to do several movies. A couple of injuries and stuff kind of stopped that from happening. But yeah, Piper was a huge deal in Hollywood.
Also, what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to Roddy Piper is one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time
to never be world champion.
And the reason being behind it is because he said he didn't need the belt.
Yeah. Well, not only that, your schedule changes when you're the champion.
Well, not just, but I mean, like he always said, "I'm over. I don't need the title."
Yeah, and never needed it. Obviously, you got to talk about the dog collar match.
Him and Greg Valentine at the first Starrcade is one of the bloodiest matches in the history of professional wrestling.
They beat the holy hell.
At one point in the match, Greg Valentine wraps his hand in a chain and hits Piper in the ear, which busted his eardrum, causing him to bleed like a stuck pig from the ear.
Yeah.
One of the most vicious things you can go back and watch that there's still footage of.
Yeah.
As well as, Piper had one title reign in WWE as the Intercontinental Champion that lasted a month and a half.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
Defeating the Mountie for the Intercontinental title.
Yep.
He was tag team champions.
Yep.
With Ric Flair towards the later half of his
towards the end of his career. Yeah, he and Ric Flair beat. Oh, I just watched this match over. Who was it? Eminem? Maybe.
I thought it was Legacy.
Maybe it was somebody, but yeah,
because of Randy Orton and the Legend Killer.
They were tag team champions, and I think they were champs for 2 months or something like that.
Yeah, it was for a little while
because they won them at Cyber Sunday.
Yeah.
Whenever the three options for Ric Flair's partner was Piper, Snuka, and Slaughter. Yeah, and there's a really funny story that Flair tells when he was like, they were all at the bar the night before doing the press stuff, and they were all legitimately like, man, I really fucking hope it's not me, because they weren't in shape or weren't ready to do it, and they were all like, man, I hope it's not me. I hope it's not me. And then of course Piper gets it, and they win the belts.
Piper
Very cool thing to see.
Insanely out of shape.
He was
during that, but no, what is there that you can say bad about Roddy Piper? Man was great on the stick.
Mm-hmm.
He was a consummate professional.
Mm-hmm.
His stuff as the commissioner of the WWF when Gorilla Monsoon went out, legendary. Him and Goldust in the backlot brawl at WrestleMania 12 was fantastic.
If you've never read Goldust or never heard Goldust's story on that, the period when Piper is up top and they're on the car and Piper's hitting him in the head, he's trying to bust Goldust open the hard way.
Yeah.
But he can't get it to work.
Because they were told that they weren't allowed to do blood.
Right. So he tried to get him the hard way, and eventually Goldust just looks up and is like, please stop hitting me in the head.
Yeah.
But it's Piper just... You can hear the thuds.
Also, I remember the cut of Piper's hand, cutting his hand open.
Yeah.
Trying to get into the car.
Into the car, yeah.
Several good things, man. Piper was such a just, in my opinion, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
His debut in, was it Impact? Where he basically tells Russo that he's the reason Owen Hart had died.
Yep.
Shoot in front of a full house of fans.
Yeah. Him showing up in WCW, which we covered a couple weeks ago with the whole Bischoff. What did we have for dinner?
Yeah. The Age in a Cage.
Yeah. The big hip scar.
Yeah.
And everything. Beating Hogan in a championship match.
Yep.
By submission, and yet still not getting the title.
Yep. The Piper's Pit with Austin at WrestleMania 21.
Yeah.
Or the first time they ever stand face to face with each other.
How about him and Morton Downey Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
WrestleMania 5 or 4. They're sitting in the ring for this big Piper's Pit. They're bringing out Morton Downey Jr., who was like the Jerry Springer, basically,
right,
of personalities on television. And he comes out and he's asked not. He's known notoriously for smoking on TV.
Yeah,
which is a no-no.
Yeah.
He gets in the ring and he keeps blowing smoke in Roddy Piper's face.
Yeah.
And Piper first time's like, "Hey,
don't blow smoke.
Don't blow smoke in my face."
Yeah.
And he's being nice about it, and he does it again, blows it. He's like, "Oh wait, no, watch it." Piper's like, "Gonna tell you again. Don't blow no more smoke in my face." And he's like, "Oh, I won't," and Morton turns to the crowd and he's like, "Watch this. This is gonna happen." What he doesn't realize is Piper removes his sheet and there's a fire extinguisher in his hands. And when he goes to turn around and blow it in Piper's face again, he hits him right in the face.
Lights him up with a fire extinguisher.
Fantastic.
That's so good.
His match, WrestleMania 4. He wrestles Adrian Adonis and puts him to sleep, cuts his hair in the middle of the ring, him and Brutus. There's so many Roddy Piper matches. One of my favorite, WrestleMania 8, him and Bret Hart for the IC title.
That's what I say, Bret Hart, yeah. Without the Bret Hart matches, the cool thing about, because he had the series with Bret, and then he went right into another program with somebody.
Yeah, $1 Million Man.
$1 Million Man. And that's really where you finally get to see like the technical ability that Piper had, because he was always known to be a brawler. But he wrestled neck and neck with Bret Hart.
What's your favorite promo from Piper?
Oh, easy. I was just about to get into that. I'm glad that you said that. My favorite thing of Roddy Piper was a callback. In the feud with the $1 Million Man was when Virgil had turned on the $1 Million Man. And they did all these vignettes building up to WrestleMania that year of Roddy Piper training Virgil to wrestle. And then, of course, Virgil beating the $1 Million Man
Yeah.
the way it happened. In WCW, Piper comes in to cut a promo.
Mm-hmm.
And the NWO swarm the ring. And Virgil, who is now wrestling as Vincent, as part of the NWO, goes to get in the ring, and he's like, "You just stand where you're at. I taught you how to fight." Fantastic callback, because it was just one of those things. Only people who were in the know, that watched that in WWE were like, "Oh, you heard that?" Favorite promo, though, honestly, favorite promo. Wow,
Mine is when
that's like picking.
Do you remember when it was Flair and Piper against the NWO? And Kevin Nash had cut the promo about how, because Flair and Piper cut the promo the week before about how they paved the roads in wrestling. And then Kevin Nash would come back and be like, "Yeah, you left the roads full of potholes, so, me and my guys have been filling them, going through and fixing them." The following week, Piper comes out and talks about potholes, and he threatens to ground Kevin Nash into cement to fill all the holes that his generation left in the road. And such a good promo, because it's legit. It's like that delivery he has when he's talking, he's looking right at the camera, and he's like, "Yeah, we left the road, or we paved the road, and there might be some potholes, but they get bigger every single time someone tunes in on Monday nights." Yeah. And just runs Kevin Nash through the fucking ringer.
It's
so
hard
good
to get any better promo from Roddy Piper than the "every time you think you have the answers,
I've changed the questions." Yeah.
It's just
one of the best lines in a promo.
And you know what the crazy part about that is? For those of you who know me personally, the wrestler that he did that to, his name was Frank Williams.
Nice.
He was a journeyman, and he was Mexican. And when they were talking to him, he wouldn't let the guy get a word in edgewise. He'd ask him a question, and he'd be like, "Of course you don't know this," and that and the other. And the guy was getting legitimately hot because he thought that he was getting liberties taken on him. And then he reaches back and slaps the taste out of this guy's mouth, and then got in the camera and was like, "Every time they think they have the answers, I change the questions." Fantastic.
Fucking great.
You should put that on a t-shirt. Oh, wait, they did.
They did. Guys, that's about all we can say about the Rowdy one. Let us know what you think about Roddy Piper. You can do that via email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/prowrestlingthrowdown. Follow us on Twitter at prowrestlingtd. Tweet. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Please comment down below. Share us with your friends, and tune in every single Saturday on Twitch. Stay tuned. More coming to you this week.
Send us baseball cards.
Make us baseball cards.
Right.